Hey, everybody, and welcome back to the Energy Healing Lifestyle Journal Self Care Challenge Day 10, where we talk about our self image, showing up for ourselves with love and compassion in the sacral chakra. Lots of good things, protecting our energy, releasing what isn't yours, and appreciating the now moment. Lots of things. So, as I was doing my journaling, and forgive me because I'm balancing on a ball, having chair issues. So, there's that. And got my journal out. So if you don't have yours, please grab it. Come journal with me. And let's dive in. So if you know me, you already know I like to dive deep. I like to go through our energies, those that align with the main 7 chakras, in line with the spine and our bodies, right? In each one of those chakras, acronyms basically were downloaded to me, one that comes from self-care and one that follows along with best you. And again, all aligning with the main 7 chakras. I think it's amazing. And as we get going, it makes it even easier to remember, right? In the beginning, it might not be so easy to remember, but as we go, it does. So let me know if it's becoming easier for you. If you still have to stop, sometimes I still have to stop and think, like spell out the word and see what day we're on, right? Because I don't keep track of days very well, but I can usually keep track as we do journaling what day's next, right? So at least what our topic is. So we've already covered for this week self-awareness and our beliefs in our root chakra and our emotions. I use emotions for both acronyms, right? Because they're just so powerful in our sacral chakra. And then today, again, we're covering love and self-image in our solar plexus chakra. So solar plexus chakra really is all about who we are, right? That I am. How you complete that sentence. I am. What comes to mind? Specifically in my journaling today, I reflected on when we use the title of empathic healer. And then what else came to mind was, so we pick up on other energies and we pick up on other emotions. And I've talked before about how we can internalize our beliefs or emotions, or like take on and really own and be a, a dis-ease even, right? So instead of saying like I have diabetes, saying I am diabetic as an example. Or for those who might have bipolar, I have bipolar disorder, that like owning it, I am bipolar, right? We internalize it as being who we are, but it's not who we are, it's a thing that we're dealing with, right? Don't want to get ahead of myself. So as an empathic healer, if you say I am empathic healer, what does that mean to you? What part of that have you internalized? And how much of other people's energies have you internalized to be you, right? So I've shared before that in my journey, for me, you may or may not resonate with this, the spectrum of codependency. So when you think, a lot of people don't necessarily know what codependency is, or sometimes it's confused with like, hmm, I'll just say confused with other things. There is a spectrum, and I believe that for myself, I could reflect and see myself through the spectrum, right? Like sometimes it's on this side, and sometimes it's on this side, sometimes there's an in between. However, I bring that up because think of codependency as being more of like an attachment. I'm attached to how other people feel because I feel it, right? So it becomes, or we believe it becomes, our job and responsibility to make sure that the people around us feel better. Um, if they're having a struggle, I don't want to say issue, but kind of an issue, that we fix it. We become the fixer, the enabler, the peacemaker, the people pleaser, right? For them and for us. It's twofold. Sometimes we really are focused on, like, we're so focused on the people around us that we neglect ourselves. But in a sense, it is for us too, because we feel all of that. So we also want to feel better, right? So if I fix you, I can feel better too. And then we're both happy. Except it's not ours to fix, right? It's for us to manage us, not everyone else around us. And that for me has been a long journey. So if you're not familiar and this is new to you, it won't be a thing. But if you've been following along with me and you know that um, I've changed the name of my book, and I've changed the name of my book again. And this time I kept the worthiness trap because that really drives it home for me, and I think many others. But now, instead of a self-love journey to financial freedom, which I think that's still in the making, to be fair, I'm just not writing it first. Let me put it that way. The first one I'm writing is The Worthiness Trap, um, A Journey Back to You. Now I'm second guessing myself. But yeah, that. Because it is. For me, codependency meant basically like I didn't exist. It wasn't I am anything. I didn't know what the heck I was. I didn't know who I was. I didn't know what my beliefs were. I knew what other people's beliefs were, and I took those on. I didn't know what my emotions were. I knew what other people's emotions were, and I couldn't tell the difference. So I just took them all on. I assumed they were all mine. I didn't know who I was. So to say I am, I don't know, or I didn't know, right? Who do you need me to be was more like what it felt like. What do I need to be in each situation? I think I've explained before, at least with Iona, um, feeling like a chameleon, right? Like it's a survival technique, and you shift, you change and shift depending on the situation or the people that you're around, right? It might be safe to show this part of me with these people or this person, but when I'm here, I have to be this person, and when I'm here, I have to be this person. To a degree, it's true for all of us, to a degree. To a degree, we wear different hats, we have different roles, right? So, how I talk with a friend versus how I talk to my child might look differently. Excuse me, I'm not changing who I am, but I'm changing how, some of those how to's, right? How I speak to versus how I speak to a child. I'm not going to use the same type of verbiage with a kiddo who may not understand that type of, language, meaning like bigger words, so to speak, until they learn, expand their own vocabulary than if I was talking to a friend who was older. So there are some differences, or maybe at work, right? You have those different roles where like, I have to step in this professionalism a little bit more, and I have to show my professional side more than when I'm just at home and relaxing and chilling out or just socializing. So to a degree, I think we all have levels. Not that we completely lose ourselves, but again, we just make some adjustments. It's still me. I'm just maybe watching my language a little bit more, or it's still me, but there was a time that I didn't know who me was. Um, and from what I'm hearing from others, if you're watching this, you probably may resonate with that, right? Falls right in line with when we can't tell what energy is ours and what is belongs to someone else. There's so many pieces involved in that, whether we're aware of it right away or not. But maybe as you're journaling and reflecting, it may come to the surface. So again, as I was journaling in about empathic healer and each of these steps, showing up for self with love and compassion, that self-image, and I was really reflecting on the self-image and thinking back to when someone actually told me once, I was a teenager, and that chameleon, right? So when I was a teenager, something was said about I didn't think she liked me very much. And she said, Robin, I don't know you. How can I like you? I can't form an opinion. I don't even know who you are. And she had picked up on as an observer, and I wasn't even aware of it. I wasn't aware until she brought it to my attention. Johari window, right? How much we actually, there's parts of self that are still hidden that we don't see, but sometimes other people can see it in us. And she had picked up on that that chameleon thing, like around certain people, my personality or how I acted anyways would kind of shift depending on who I was around. So then she didn't know how much was actually me. And that was so profound, right? I mean, it kind of hit me in the feels, not gonna lie, but it was true. I just didn't realize that. I didn't recognize it. So that self-image and the solar plexus chakra, I would have to say that my solar plexus chakra was very closed at that point in time. What self-image? I didn't really have one. I did, sort of. Again, it's what we're taking from the things around us and then internalizing. We're taking from the external, what other people say, what other people, how they treat us, how we learn to react out of survival, and then internalizing that, right? I had ideas of who I was, but to really detach from everything and then say, okay, just stand alone. Who am I? The other question that used to catch me is, so what do you like to do? Huh? Like me? I, I don't know. I didn't know what I like to do. I did what other people wanted me to do. That's part of that codependency. It's part of the attachments, right? The attachments that we have with people or situations or just that survival mode. But it is technically part of codependency. So if that word for you is kind of new, hopefully I shed a little bit of light on it. It's much deeper than that, but that's those are some of the big pieces of the codependency. We would think in our language, codependent sounds more like a mutual thing, right? Like you coexist or you co-parent, and then they come up with codependency, but it's so not a good word because technically you would have independence, dependence, or interdependence, right? And that interdependence would be more of what we would think codependent would mean, like a coexisting or cooperation between the two, collaborative partnerships and things. But that word is actually interdependent, where again, codependent is kind of a standalone, where it's basically like we don't, in a sense, have a self identity because we are so focused on the outside or others around us, the external. Whether we mean to or not doesn't isn't the thing. It's not blame, shame, or guilt. It's just awareness, right? It's just the awareness. Because in order to release what doesn't belong to us, we have to know what's ours, right? And in order to assess our own self image to see if it's in alignment with the source of unconditional love, I have to know what's mine, what's actually my image versus someone else's. Sorry. Quick memory flash there as I said that. But it's true, right? What is my awareness of me? And do I allow myself to really get to know me to increase my awareness of me? Because again, that Johari window where there's that space of like a hidden self where it's just in the subconscious, but the conscious awareness doesn't see it yet. And then the protecting your own energy, right? So I had shared that another acronym, PRAY, came up, and I'm going to delve into that deeper into my first masterclass, November 20th. If you haven't signed up, please do that. The link's in the description. It's free. Just throwing it out there in case you were wondering. So we'll delve into each of those steps, phases, protecting your energy, releasing what isn't yours, and appreciating the now, because that energy of gratitude also is healing. It helps us heal, it helps us build our shield in a sense. If I am so full of gratitude, then it kind of blocks the ability for other people's stuff, right, to come in and suck my energy out. It sounded so intense, didn't it? But energy vampire came to mind when I was saying that. But again, I have to know what energy is mine. So again, looking down, I put my journal on my lap, just so you know. Um, I have to know what's mine. What I don't want to just protect the energy that's in my field or in my energy body, what Aaron Doughty calls the frame. I don't want to just protect what's in my frame because I might have a collection of many others' energy too, right? I'm not trying to protect all of ours. In a sense, the protector in me just said, yes, you do. I protect everybody and everything. But in reality, what's mine, right? Free will and accountability. We are accountable for self, period. And we do all have free will, so that stands for us and others. So, as much as sometimes we want to make decisions for other people, and I still do this, I have to check myself, and my desire to help, I then can seem controlling or wanting to take over and trying to decide and determine what should be best for what I think is best for someone else, right? What's that other saying? Stay in your lane. It's not mine, just my decision to make. It's not mine to fix. I have to let that go and release it, right? And it's a big thing, like with your kids. And my kids are grown, so young adults. And then, like my youngest, we butt heads the most, but because we're so much alike, I see myself in him so much, like just some things that he does and how he can get worked up about certain things or just different decisions he makes. And like, dude, like I'm telling you because I know and I'm trying to save you the hassle I went through, right? But he's just as stubborn as I was and won't hear it. Yes. Well, then, mom, I got to learn the hard way, which, yep, that was mom's way. But point being, regardless of who it is, yeah, there's a level of detachment there, right? At some point, I just have to detach with love and be like, it's you do you, right? I love you either way. You do you. No blame, shame, or guilt. It's his journey, not mine to take over. And again, at some point, I can't be the protector, right? It's not my job to protect him in that sense anymore. uh, Again, big part of me is like, BS, darn well you would do what you could to protect him, and I would, but still, when it comes to his own decisions he makes, they're his to make, right? For both of my kiddos and so on and so forth, and other humans. Again, my mom too, right? She's my mom. She's elderly, but sometimes I want to make decisions for her. Sometimes I need to because health wise, things happen and you have to help in that aspect. But as much as possible, uh, just backing away enough to be like, okay, right? If that's how you want to do that, okay. But then just making sure she's well informed before she decides. Like, I feel like that's something I can do without deciding for her or pulling her one way or another, just making sure she knows this is what this means if that's what you want to do, kind of thing. Because again, even though I am directly affected by what she chooses now, it's still hers, right? She still gets to choose it, not me. So I think that's a challenge as empathic healers, especially with those who are close to us, like I just mentioned, some family members, to remember that everyone has free will and accountability. I have no problem wanting to stand on my own 2 feet and scream out that I have free will, right? It's my life. I could decide. That's true for others as well. So respecting and honoring that. We don't want to squash that because there's massive whatever recoil, karma, whatever you want to call it, that comes back. Excuse me. I get a little drink there. So free will and accountability. Again, accountability for me. So knowing what our own energy is so that I'm accountable for my own, right? I don't want to project out all the ick and heavy grossness that we tend to feel around us, but I also don't have to take on everything. I can feel it and be aware of it and detach from it, and that's takes a lot of practice. At least it did for me. But again, I'll cover more about that in the master class. Talk about energetic boundaries, and again, though boundaries, you that's like first step, knowing what's ours, right? And that includes our self-image. So that's probably a really good question. We can go deeper in our journals, right? Is when I write out I am, and I just let myself free flow to see what comes up, then ask myself where those come from. Like, is it mine? Do I want it? One of my self image or roles or titles of being mom, yeah, I'm good with that. Grandma, love that. Um, I think my roles or images of daughter and caregiver have gotten muddy. So I don't love that. Um, So that's, that might be an area I can journal on more if you guys run into something like that. Or when someone else says, like someone had called me, a couple of people actually used to call me the glue that kept the family together. Guess who doesn't want to be the glue that keeps the family together? Me, right? But I could see where I fit that role. I can see where I did that, right? Like that reflective moment. But do that. Really see, like, what have you heard from others, and what does it mean? Is that part of the self-image you want? Maybe you enjoy being the glue that keeps the family together. Maybe that you love part of that as your self-image. Own it. Again, no blame, shame, and guilt. And I'm not here to tell you what's right for you. Just bringing about that awareness and the pieces, because, and from my own experience, when I started on this journey and when I started learning what it was to be an empath, and I don't know why I've started using empathic healer. I think that's just how I see myself, empath, and then Reiki teacher, doing healing, all kinds of healing work, and just combining them. Um, I lost my train of thought. Along the journey, self-image, trying to bring it back. Oh, but reflecting anyways on how you see yourself, what that means to you, right? Reflecting again on Mondays, we talk about the beliefs of the root chakra, having that self awareness of what our beliefs are. So, our beliefs about an empathic healer and what that means and how we fill that role. Do we want it? Do we not? The emotions that come along with it. On Tuesdays, we talk about the emotions in the sacral chakra, how it amplifies, right? It's energy in motion, and it amplifies and gives whatever emotion we have more momentum. And when we build on it and we build on it, and then we call more of it in, right? Or more things that would create more of it. And then bringing that all into our solar plexus chakra and how we internalize ourself, our I am, and what that means and how we feel about it. Excuse me. And then protecting that energy. Oh, that's what I was going to say. When I was on this journey and doing my searches in the beginning and trying to find out the same, like, how do you know how do I know what's mine? How do I protect myself? How do I release this? How do I not hold on to this? How do I not be the magnet for all this stuff? So on and so forth. You guys know the questions, right? I wanted a quick fix because it was intense. It's overwhelming, and it's been ongoing for so many years, right? It had such buildup. And I wanted something quick that I could do all the time. Again, quickly, right? Like every day, grab a cloak, move on about the day. Now you can kind of do that. Set that energetic, hearing things by me, set an energetic protection around you. However, it doesn't stop us from feeling. It doesn't stop us from being an empathic healer, right? So we still have to be aware and grounded within our body, aware of our moments, learn how to decide what is ours and what isn't, or determine what's ours and what isn't, and be able to detach and release that. It's like an ongoing process. Unless we, again, my sign is a Cancer, so hermit crab, unless I just hide in my shell in isolation forever and ever and try to just build thickness of whatever, because as if energy can't come through it to protect myself, it's a process. There's pieces to it. It's ongoing, right? So I want to make sure I'm giving you all the pieces so you can be consistent, and then you can form those habits. We can keep it in our awareness, which is the purpose of the self-care challenge, right? So we can keep it all in our awareness and keep clearing our own energy, our own, releasing what isn't ours, building that appreciation, and being grounded in our bodies. And if we don't yet know who we are in this moment, get to know us. So get to know you. I want to say the real you, not that it's a fake you, but again, in reflection of my own, I almost feel like I wasn't me because I didn't know who I was. I was a chameleon, right? It was survival mode. I adjusted. I became who I needed to be in each moment around whoever I was around. So who was I? Mm-hmm. They didn't know. So if that's true for you, no blame, shame, or guilt. Just welcome to the journey to finding you. Again, hence part of my book, right? That journey back to you. Absolutely. Yeah, that seems like a good place to stop and wrap this one up, huh? So thank you for hopping on, sharing your time and space and your own energy. Let me know how things are going for you in the comments. Excuse me. If you feel comfortable, let me know how you describe you. So when you start that sentence, I am, and I'll put that in the comments on YouTube. I am, just free flow, just whatever comes up, write it and sit with it. Is it a self-image that you embrace? Is it a self-image that you're like, I don't want that? I'm laughing again because of my own journey. I'm not laughing at anyone else. Just please know that. Yeah, but I'd be curious to know. And I think for more than just me coming on here to share, for others to share in the comments, it lets others know too, you're not alone, right? You're not alone, and you don't have to be alone. We can show up and support each other. So again, please share this out, subscribe if you haven't already. Excuse me, give the video a thumbs up, right? What they say? Smash that like button. And I will see you on the next video. Take good care. So much love. Bye, guys.